Hi, this is the Crunchy Coach with you. Gonna give you a little bit of a tour of my what is my current garden. This is a pepper plant that I bought at Callaway's. This is my son Benjamin. Say hi, Benjamin.
Hi.
And oops, these cucumbers and watermelon and cantaloupe I forgot to take in. I'm hardening them off, and I was supposed to take them off take them in about an hour ago. I'll have to take care of that. Alright, right now here I've got a tomato growing in a planter because I planted a couple of currant tomato plants, forgetting how teeny tiny currant tomatoes grow, and I wanted a little more harvest of tomato than that. This is my official cucumber and melon. These two beds here are my official melon and cucumber beds. Here's the other bed over here. Some cucumbers, and under the cage there's a watermelon. The reason this cage is here is because we have neighborhood cats that like to come in and poop. But since I don't let them in on the garden anymore, they just poop on the grass. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, I've got some radishes planted behind the cucumber because the radishes are supposed to repel the cucumber beetle. Lots of mulch. See, I'm a good girl. I really mulched well this year. Here is a empty self-watering planter. I love the self-watering planters because they're really easy to take care of. I'm going to plant some of my cucumbers that are now being hardened off in that planter. And there's a toy lawnmower. And here we have, if you see the grids, I do square foot gardening, so I've got grids made out of actually that's vinyl window blind slats, which is a lot cheaper than using wooden grids, I'm telling you. And here we have some peas that took forever to germinate because of the freezing weather, the freezing winter, and beans over there. And my carrots also just this should be all of these squares right here should be full of carrots. But some of them are just now coming up. I've had to germinate these squares sow these squares over here twice to get any carrots out. And here we have another cage. I've got a cage to keep the cabbage moss off my spinach. There's my spinach. Look at it, it's really growing now. That white stuff is diatomaceous earth to keep the slugs away, and we have some lettuce heads getting pretty big. That was supposed to be kale, but it took forever to germinate, and then it got hot, so now it doesn't want to grow. So this is one of my larger beds there. So I have a pumpkin volunteering. I did not plant that, but I had a pumpkin vine last year, and it just kind of died with some semi-grown pumpkins. And that's another pumpkin sprung up without permission. I used to have pepper plants here, but they were not well, and so I just decided to get rid of them. Alright, so if you see here, this bed is a bigger one, a longer one. And these are all my lovely tomatoes. They're doing pretty good. I've got a few carrots growing there. Carrots love tomatoes, you know, that's a book. Carrots are supposed to do well with tomatoes, but the carrots aren't really growing that well. But anyway, this was supposed to have been broccoli and cabbage, but again, so it was so cold that they didn't want to germinate, and I didn't think to force them. And so by the time they came up, the aphids got at them, and I didn't want to deal with them because it was too warm for them anyway. So I have a nice blank there. I've sowed some lettuce seeds, so I'm just going to use this for summertime greens and put shade cloth over them so they won't get so bitter. And here we have some more lettuce. Another view of my tomatoes over there. And let's see. Here are my peppers. Some of them look alright, some of them look not so alright, and I don't know how they'll do, but I'm just going to wait and see. That's why I bought that one pot that was on the deck from Callaway's, because I have a few peppers that just don't look too great. But if a pepper plant grows up, it'll do really well and produce a long time, and there's not a whole lot of insects that will get to a pepper. But anyway, here's a view of my current square foot gardening, but we are going to be transitioning, I wrote a blog post about this, to container gardening for several reasons. One of the main which is I'm tired of bending down to take care of the plants. That gets tiring. It's also a lot easier to keep the tomatoes well watered when they are in containers, even though they may not grow as big when they're in containers. But you know what? I think that's a good thing, because they went crazy on me last year, and we're just all over the place. Alright, well, that's a tour of my current garden. Hopefully it'll fill up a little bit later this year, and I will do another video and let you see what it looks like.